Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Dr. Abdul Rehman, your course instructor for a subject Human Physiology, having course code MLT-111. Today, I'm going to record part B of our previous lecture, that is gastrointestinal tract. In part A, we had discussed the upper three parts of the GAT system that include mouth, esophagus, and J-shaped structure called stomach. These three parts play a role in the mechanical as well as enzymatic digestion of complex compounds like carbohydrates, fats, and protein present in our food. An enzymatic digestion process has been ensured by accessory organs like liver, gallbladder, and pancreas because these organs release different enzymes in the GAT tract that convert these macromolecules into micronutrients. After this, there are two other major portions of the GAT, that is the small intestine and large intestine. So our today lecture will be focused on these two parts of the GAT system. Small intestine, it is a tube-like structure that contains different sections, and these sections play a role in the digestion of the food. After digestion, they also facilitate the absorption of micronutrients, and once these micronutrients has been absorbed, then it has been distributed to different organs through blood for ATP productions, and the ATPs produced are then used for different physiological activities. After this, there is another organ that is being called as large intestine. Large intestine ensure the complete digestion of the food because sometimes undigested carbohydrate and fibers has been released from small intestine into the large intestine. Therefore, the bacteria present in the large intestine convert these undigested fibers into their product. So the large intestine also facilitate absorption of the water. Let's start our today lecture. Small intestine. It is a convoluted tube that connected stomach with the larger intestine, and it is responsible for complete digestion of macromolecules. Why it has been responsible for complete digestion of macromolecules? Because different accessory organs release enzyme in this part of the GAT. After digestion, small intestine also ensures the absorption of micronutrients in the form of glucose, glycerol, fatty acid, and amino acid. And about 90% of absorption process will take place here in this portion of the GAT. Here you can see this is the small intestine, started from the stomach and ended at large intestine. It has three different parts, and these parts are duodenum, jejunum, and lleum. We have to discuss these parts in detail in the next coming slides. Duodenum. This is the first part of the small intestine connecting stomach with the lower part of the digestive system, and it is approximately 30 centimeter long tube. Pancreas, gallbladder, and liver release their enzymes in this portion of the small intestine that ensures complete digestion of macromolecules. In addition, the internal lining of the duodenum has been covered by a fold of tissues called villi, and also it is been covered by brush-like structure called microvilli. Both these structures play a role in the absorption of the nutrients and also increase the surface area of the duodenum region. That's why maximum digestion process takes place here in this part of the small intestine. The second part of the small intestine is jejunum that connect duodenum with the ileum. It is approximately 2.5-meter long tube, and minor fraction of digestion take place here in this portion, but it contains more villi and microvilli. That's why maximum absorption of the nutrients will take place here in this part of the small intestine. The third part of the small intestine is ileum. It is a long tube of about 3 meters and minor fraction of digestion take place here, but it contains minor villi and microvilli as compared to the first two part of the small intestine. But again, minor fraction of absorption will also take place here in this portion of the small intestine. So the basic function of the ileum is to push waste materials that has been lifted from the digestion into the next part of the GIT system, that is called as larger intestine. So what is the basic function of the small intestine? The basic function of the small intestine is digestion plus absorption, because 90% of digestion of macromolecules and absorption of micronutrients will take place here in this part of the GIT, while the remaining 10% digestion as well as absorption will take place in the stomach and large intestine, as food contains different complex compounds like protein, carbohydrates, and fats. So small intestine play a role in the digestion of these macromolecules. Like in case of proteins, enzyme trypsin and chemotrypsin has been released from pancreas into the small intestine, where they convert the complex protein into simple peptides like amino acids. In case of peptides, lipase enzyme has been released from pancreas into the small intestine, which break down fats and lipids to fatty acids, and which are then enter into the intestine villi for absorption. While in case of carbohydrates, amylase has been released by pancreas into the small intestine that break down carbohydrate to simple sugars and monosaccharides like glucose, which are further absorbed through intestinal villi. Sometimes carbohydrate and fibers are pass undigested into the larger intestine, where intestinal bacteria break down into simple sugar. So how absorption will take place in the small intestine? The micronutrients are absorbed by the inner wall of the small intestine into the bloodstream, because the inner wall of the small intestine contain villi and microvilli that facilitate the suction process of the micronutrients. And different process has been involved in the absorption process, like simple diffusion, that is a phenomena that molecules moves from higher concentration towards the lower concentration, and facilitated diffusion, that is also a type of simple diffusion. After this, there are two other mechanisms like primary active transport and secondary active transport. In this mechanism, there is a need of energy because molecules move from lower concentration towards the higher concentration against the permeable membrane. So for different food material has been absorbed through different processes, like short chain fatty acid has been absorbed through simple diffusion, while amino acid has been absorbed through primary active transport. Here energy is required for their absorption, while in case of glucose, secondary active transport mechanism involved, while in fructose it has been absorbed through facilitated diffusion. Other substances are also absorbed in the small intestine, and these includes water, because 80% of water is absorbed by the small intestine, while 10% has been absorbed by large intestine, and the remaining 10% has been excreted in the feces. While in case of electrolytes like sodium salt, potassium salts are absorbed in the last part of the small intestine, but maximum portion of these electrolytes are absorbed in the large intestine. And the third nutrients that has been absorbed in the small intestine is the vitamins and minerals, because major part of all vitamins and minerals present in the food are absorbed in the ileum part of the small intestine. The next organ of our GIT system is the large intestine. The large intestine is composed of several distinctive parts. The first part is called as cecum. which has been connected with the colon, and the colon has further divided into four different parts, include ascending colon, descending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, and sigmoid colon. After this, there is another part of the large intestine that has been called as the rectum. Here you can see this is the cecum region that has been in connection with the small intestine, and cecum also connected with the ascending colon, transverse colon, descending, sigmoid colon, and at the end there is a rectum. So we will discuss these different parts of the large intestine in detail. Cecum. It is the first section of the large intestine, and it is 2 inches long, pouch-like structure. And the main function of cecum is to take fluids from the last part of the small intestine, that is ileum, and pass it to the colon. Here you can see this is the cecum, pouch-like structure, and they take fluids from the small intestine. And after taking of the fluids, it pushes this fluid into the next part of the larger intestine, that is called as colon. The major section of the large intestine, and it is the principal place for water absorption and also start with salts whenever needed. So it has four parts as we have earlier discussed: ascending, transverse, descending, and sigmoid colon. Here you can see this is the ascending colon that lies just beneath the liver. Transverse colon lies beneath your stomach. Descending colon is the left lower part of your abdomen. So we will discuss these different part of colon in detail. Like ascending colon, it is the first portion of the colon and located right lower end of the liver, and it pushes any undigested debris up from the cecum. While transverse colon, it has been lies beneath the stomach, and it facilitated reabsorption of water and salt. Here you can see this is the ascending colon and this is the transverse colon. While descending colon, it is the third part of the colon and located lower left end of the abdomen, and it pushes any undigested debris down to the sigmoid region that has a complete waste material. While the sigmoid region is being connected with the rectum, and it is the final S-shaped structure of the larger intestine, and it empties into the rectum. It mostly pushes feces into the rectum and then has been released from the body. Here you can see this is the descending colon and sigmoid region connecting with the rectum. While rectum, this is the last part of the digestive system, and it measures about 1 to 1.6 inches, and it leftover waste material from digestive tract and expel them into the through the anus into the environment. So what is the function of large intestine? The basic function of large intestine is to absorb water. Water absorption is one of the primary function of the large intestine, and it prepared the waste as a solid stool that will be expelled from the body because maximum water has been absorbed from the undigested food, or you can call them as a waste food. The next function of the large intestine is absorption of vitamins. Because bacteria present in the large intestine break down undigested fibers and sugars, as a result, vitamin K and biotin has been produced, and these vitamins are absorbed back to the body through large intestine for different metabolic activities. The third function of the large intestine is reduce acidity. Because micronutrients like fatty acid produce acidic environment, so as a result, large intestine produce alkaline solution and reduce acidity and bring pH back to their normal level, that is basic pH range. While it also facilitates the protection of the GAT system from infections, and because the mucus lining of the large intestine acts as a protective layer, and it prevents harmful bacteria from being reabsorbed into the body. While the most important function of the large intestine that it also play a role in the production of antibodies, because different investigators investigated that large intestine produce antibodies to boost the body immunity, and it is believed that appendix may have been a major role in the antibodies production. Overall, what is the summary of the large intestine? The large intestine is the final section of the gastrointestinal tract that performs vital task of absorbing water and vitamins while converting digested food into feces. Although it is shorter in length from the small intestine, but it is much thicker in thickness as compared to the small intestine. The overall length of the large intestine is about 5 feet, and while its diameter is about 2.5 inches. Where it has been located? It has been located at the border of the abdominal cavity, to the right side of the abdomen, top side of the abdomen, and lower end of the abdomen. Beginning to the right side of the abdomen, the large intestine is being connected with the small intestine through ileocecal sphincter, which gives a T-like structure and further produce two segments, inferior segments and superior segments. The inferior segment has been called as cecum that collects fluid from the small intestine, while the superior segment has been called as ascending colon that collects water from the cecum and moves up to the colon. At the end, ascending colon turns to the 90-degree angles when give a structure called transverse colon. Here, maximum absorption of water, salts, and vitamins will take place. At the end, transverse colon turns 90-degree angle to the downside at the lower end of the abdomen and give a structure called descending colon. Descending colon ended at a S-shaped structure called sigmoid colon that is been in connection with the last part of the large intestine that is called as rectum, and rectum has been connected with the anus. So feces has been removed through anus to the environment. So with this I have to finish my today lecture. Thank you so much.